All right, Secretary, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thanks, Megan. And thank you to all the attendees, and thanks to the team at Tax and Rev that put this webinar together. We were very excited in December 2024 to launch the New Mexico mobile driver's license. I think at the time we were about the 15th or so state to have a mobile ID, and we were really proud of ours, not just for having beautiful artwork, but having cutting edge technology and security underpinning it. And the public response once we launched it in December was very positive. And the number of New Mexicans that have steadily been adding mobile ID to their wallet has been growing, and we're super excited about that. On the flip side, we need to do work on business acceptance of mobile driver's licenses. And so those that are attending the webinar today, I hope are going to find out a lot of really useful information about how they work, how do you accept them, and there are many different ways that you can do it. It's not just a one size fits all solution, but MVD is basically going to tell us about a loaner program where you can try out a reader from us. And we want to tell you all about that and hopefully get the readers that we have fully subscribed. We've got some folks that, in addition to myself in the motor vehicle division, we've got experts from regulation and licensing department here that can answer questions about liquor licenses and cannabis licenses, things like that. And then we've got some folks from industry that I know someone can't hear anything, but I don't know that that's on our side. We've got some folks from industry here, Chris Goblet for one, and others who will talk about using our program. All right, so with that, I'm happy to turn it over to the MVD director, Ted Wint.
Thank you so much, Secretary. Appreciate it. And hello, everyone. So last November, the Cabinet Secretary and our Special Project Manager, Adam Diamond, hosted a webinar explaining what a mobile driver's license is and all the benefits that it brings. I think it's worth revisiting some of that information today because there are two questions that we still hear more than anything else. One is, how is an MDL more secure than a physical license? And two, how do we read an MDL? So when we look at mobile driver's licenses, the biggest takeaway that we can share is that they reduce risk and increase confidence. A physical license can be faked, altered, or stolen, and as y'all aware, you have to rely on a quick visual inspection to catch something suspicious, which leaves a lot of room for error. And I know that currently it is a preferred method for verification because we have a lot of experience and training already in verifying physical driver's licenses. Mobile ID, though, takes most of that risk you're facing with the physical licenses off the table. It uses encryption. It looks like people can hear just fine, so I'm happy to continue. I know there's chat about that. So just so you're aware, an MDL uses encryption and secure device authentication, which means it can't be copied the way a physical license can. And for businesses, that translates to fewer fraudulent transactions, fewer compliance issues, and fewer liabilities from accepting bad IDs. Privacy is another major benefit. When someone hands over a physical ID, you're seeing everything, your full name, address, date of birth, even when you don't need all of it. And with an MDL, you only receive the information that's required. If all you need is age and a photo to confirm identity, that's all the system provides. And this reduces how much sensitive data that you all have to handle and protect, which lowers exposure and makes compliance much easier. I think from a business perspective, it really is simpler. MDLs reduce fraud risk, limit unnecessary data collection, and streamlines the customer experience and provide a safer option for customers and the businesses overall. Which leads us to the second question, which is, how do we read an MDL? So when we first launched last November, MVD also introduced our New Mexico Verifier app. It verified age and displayed the customer's photo, but it required the employee to have a smartphone, and that meant businesses would need to supply phones to their staff and make sure that staff had it out during working hours. And we know that that's not always practical. And because it isn't easy to access, many people didn't get to experience how simple and reliable the technology actually is. Which is why we're here today. And as the Secretary mentioned, I'm so excited to share on behalf of the team that MVD TRD is launching the Mobile ID Reader Loaner Program. With this program, MVD will temporarily loan out Credence Tap 2 ID readers, which are age verification terminals, for free to any business that wants to try them. We can describe how easy they are and show you how easy they are to use, and we will, but it's completely different once you try it for yourself. The program is going to put a small secure terminal directly in your hands. It's especially convenient for business or organizations that need to verify age, because you can actually set the minimum age requirements yourself, whether it's 18 plus, 21, 65 plus, right from our online portal. So to get a hold of one, I'll walk through the step. First, of course, you'll need a MOU or a Memorandum of Understanding with MVD, and we're going to loan it out to you for a specified agreed amount of days. MVD will also provide a really simple initial training for use to one of your experts who will then teach the rest of your staff. So these readers can read New Mexico driver's license, but also MDLs issued by other states as well. I think I can say that it's simple, secure, and built to make verification faster and safer. And today we're incredibly privileged and fortunate to have the New Mexico Wine Growers Association with us today. They were the first to participate in the Credence Reader Loaner program, and they'll be sharing their experience a little later in the webinar. But first, I'm going to punt it back to Megan.
All right, everybody, now we're going to show a brief demonstration on how to use mobile ID. So just bear with me for one moment here while I pull it up. You will notice in this demonstration that certain content is blurred. That's just privacy agreements we have with a certain phone company. So let me go ahead and share this.
The New Mexico Mobile Driver's License, or MDL. Yes, you can accept it. It is a legal ID and easy to verify. And it's official! How to verify a mobile ID. Use a verification terminal. New from the New Mexico MVD, for local and small businesses. Rent a Credence mobile ID reader for free. If your business has ID scanning hardware, it can verify mobile IDs. All mobile IDs must be scanned by either a verification app or terminal. It is not legal to accept the ID by visually checking it on the user's device. Scan MVD's QR code to automatically navigate to mvd.newmexico.gov, where you can learn more about mobile driver's licenses. How the process works. Step 1. If using an app, select the NFC tap option. Have the user hold their device near the top of your phone or verification terminal. Step 2. The mobile ID user will receive a prompt to consent to the information they'd like to share, birthday and photo for age verification. And Step 3. The app or terminal will verify the user's age. The person verifying the information must also verify that the photo on the ID is the same person presenting the ID.
In this brief demonstration, we will show you how to accept mobile ID using a Tap 2 ID reader. First, the customer presents their ID. The reader reads the ID, and the customer consents to sharing information like age and ID photo. The reader then verifies the ID. In this example, we can see that the customer is over 21 years old. That is the minimum age required to pass this terminal. That age can be changed online. In the next example, we'll see someone who is underage. First, the customer presents their ID. After the reader reads the ID, the customer again will consent to sharing information like age and photo ID, and the reader will verify the ID. In this example, we can see that the customer is not older than 21 years old.
The New Mexico Mobile ID is recognized by MVD and the Regulation and Licensing Department, RLD, as a valid representation of a driver's license or identification. And it can be used as proof of age when verified by an approved verification app on a mobile device, or by using a verification terminal. Have questions? Contact the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department Public Information Officer, Megan Gleason. Email her at megan.gleason@tax.nm.gov or call her on 505-231-3801.
Thank you so much, Megan. I hope all of you were able to see through the blurred picture how simple it was to use, but there's still dependence and reliance on making sure the person in front of you still matches the picture. So with that, we're actually going to pivot to compliance and introduce you to our next speaker, which is RLD's Alcohol Beverage Control Division Director, Philip Sanchez. Director Sanchez?
Hi, I'm Philip Sanchez, Director of Alcoholic Beverage Control. On behalf of ABC, we are excited to support New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department and their Motor Vehicle Division in their continued launch of New Mexico's Mobile ID program. Now, I want to thank all of ABC's licensees that are attending in order to ensure their continued compliance with our requirements in the Liquor Control Act and Tobacco Products Act. For the purpose of the Liquor Control Act and the Tobacco Products Act, the mobile ID is a valid form of documentary evidence for age and identification. The ABC sent out a guidance letter and has a guidance letter on our ABC website. If anyone needs some additional information, they can locate it and see exactly why it is a valid form of proof of age and identity. Now, I do want to point out that for it to be a compliant form of age and identity, you do have to use a valid scanner. Think of it similar to that scanner is how you verify that it is in fact a government issued document. If you just look at someone's phone and see, yes, they have an ID and it says they're 21 just by looking at their phone, that's similar to looking at someone's phone containing a picture of their physical ID. The scanner is used to ensure that that data is from the state of New Mexico or another government entity and does contain the necessary information. Mobile IDs can be not only from the state of New Mexico, but other states as well. However, coming across them, you're more likely to see New Mexico mobile IDs than any other state. I would like to remind our licensees that ultimately it is your responsibility to ensure that the person you're selling alcohol or tobacco products to is in fact over the age of 21, and checking ID, while a statutory I guess protection to instances of selling to a minor, it still has to conform with actually checking. Again, actually checking those IDs is by using that mobile scanner or scanning device for the mobile ID. Similar to, you may look at someone's physical ID, but not actually verify age and identity. I will be available later in the webinar to answer any possible questions, but for now, that's my quick bullet point informational. Again, our guidance letter can be found on our website, and I'll answer any questions later. Now I'll turn it over to the Cannabis Control Division Director, Todd Stevens.
Thank you, Director Sanchez. As Director Sanchez mentioned, my name is Todd Stevens. I'm the Director of the Cannabis Control Division of the Regulation and Licensing Department of New Mexico. I'm here to just reiterate a little bit of what the director from alcohol just mentioned. Compliance is one of the number one, if not the most important part of our industry in cannabis. And we understand how important it is for our licensees to get clear guidance on that compliance, which is why I'm here speaking to you folks today. We wanted to ensure you that the method of age verification for the mobile scanners is compliant if you choose to use it. It is a key component to the method, however, is that the business not just look at that ID as Director Sanchez mentioned, there needs to be that additional step of the scan. That gives you the utmost protection. That ensures that the ID has been scanned, the data is being shown. And then that final piece that we saw in the video is using that human element of our staffs to make sure that the picture matches on the scanner, that you have that green check. And licensees who are following this are just as compliant as a licensee taking a physical ID, scanning it, looking at that picture, and looking at context clues as well. Is someone nervous? Is someone, shying away? Are they answering questions? Those are all tactics that can be used as well with the mobile ID scanner. The other states that Director Sanchez mentioned, I think there's 5 or 6 other states that are accepted right now currently. Those should scan through as well, but the majority that you should see are beautiful designs on the New Mexico cards that we have. Just to drive home a couple of points for our licensees, citizen parents that are reminded to never sell to anyone underage. That's why we have the age verification, so that you can ensure that who you're selling to meets that requirement and is of age. We want to continue to encourage our licensees to take necessary steps to prevent underage sales or consumption. Having a double check of the ID is always a great idea to have a second set of human eyes on there, just because human error can happen. That's why the mobile IDs are wonderful as well. They help limit a little bit of that. With the added element of the human, looking at those pictures, you've got a really compliant, safeguarded method to take these IDs. And I'm sure as these continue to grow and we see more and more states, you're going to see more and more customers coming in from New Mexico, Illinois, Texas, Arizona with these IDs, and can really support that customer using the ID of their choice. You will need to use the mobile ID in the same way of a traditional ID as well, to ensure you've created a compliant profile for that person. And any questions that you may have in regards to cannabis compliance and taking the mobile IDs, just as Director Sanchez mentioned, I will be here towards the end of the presentation along with legal counsel for the division to answer any compliance questions that we can. We are not able to give advice, but we can answer some direct questions of maybe best practices, or is this how this would work? So look forward to hearing any questions. Look forward to our licensees using this new exciting technology to allow more customers, ease of access, and again, giving that additional safeguard of that digital transfer. At this point, I'd like to turn it, and I'd like to thank all the CCD licensees for attending. And again, we'll be here for any questions. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Christopher Goblet, who is New Mexico Wine Growers Association Executive Director, and I believe he's got one sitting there. So take it away.
Well, thank you. Hello, everyone. Just to let everybody know that I am going to be fully honest with you that I'm not the most technologically advanced human being on this phone call. I have very few apps downloaded onto my phone, and when I got the phone call and the opportunity to host the unit from MVD, the Credence ID, I was excited because I knew it was going to force me to do something that I was probably a little hesitant to do in the first place. But now that I've actually seen the equipment and I used it myself, I realize that this is going to be something that we're going to see more and more frequently. And so for New Mexico Wine and Grape Growers Association, it was a strategic decision for us to take on the first mobile ID reader. First and foremost, I want to show all of our members in the wine industry that this is an acceptable way to accept IDs, to kind of break down the barriers or the resistance that people might have to it. The wine industry is typically, people think of an older generation that drinks wine. And so folks, if you look around in the country right now, there's a lot of people who are trying to figure out what's the next generation of wine drinker. And I like for this industry in New Mexico to be as progressive as possible, to be on the cutting edge. Even though we've been around for 396 years and we are the oldest wine growing region in the United States, that doesn't mean that we can't continue to innovate and to meet customers, the next generation of customer, where they find themselves most comfortable. So I went through the tutorial. I had the equipment here with my staff, and we realized just how easy it is. I downloaded it to my phone pretty quickly and simply. And I think that moving forward, we only had it for 2 weeks, so we're just getting started here, but I wanted to wait until we had this webinar before we started to express this to our customers, that they can start to take advantage of the mobile ID. But a couple of the things that just came to mind for me in our specific business. We are located in Old Town Albuquerque in the Plaza Don Luis, where the Christmas tree is lit every year. Just a month ago, Balloon Fiesta came through Albuquerque, and thousands of customers came through our doors here from all over the country. And just knowing how difficult it is to understand, quick recognition of an ID, that having the mobile ID scanner here for an instance like Balloon Fiesta just makes it so much more reliable for our staff in that circumstance to be able to feel confident and comfortable taking a mobile ID. So that was one real strong consideration. It's just the tourism crowd that comes through, and I hope we start to see out-of-state mobile IDs coming through our doors. The other reason that I thought it was a really compelling piece of technology is we do our annual wine festivals in Las Cruces and in Albuquerque every Memorial Day and Labor Day. And the constant phone call I get is, I just turned 21, I don't have my physical ID. I just lost my purse or my wallet, and I no longer have my ID. I field all these phone calls myself, and I know how often we get inquiries from people who are frustrated that due to a mistake or an error or a loss, that they're no longer going to have the ability to come enjoy our wine festival. If they had downloaded the mobile ID and have it on their phone, that solves the problem immediately. So if they don't have a passport, if they don't have their driver's license, mobile ID is going to be one of the ways that we advertise on our festival pages, that people can come through our lines and be guaranteed access to the festival. So these are just two examples between Balloon Fiesta and our wine festivals, where I see that we're going to continue to learn more about mobile ID, the ways in which the consumer feel more comfortable. They can, leave a wallet or a purse behind, but still have the opportunity to enjoy a great glass of New Mexico wine. So I just want to thank the division directors who brought this to our attention, and I'm confident that regardless of my technological skill and knowledge moving forward, there's going to be a whole new generation of folks that are excited to come scan their mobile IDs at a New Mexico winery in the coming years.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goblet. I think we really appreciate your engagement and your partnership. Your enthusiasm really motivates us to continue to try new initiatives to promote MDL. I'm definitely one of those people who only goes everywhere with just my phone. I rarely take a wallet anywhere. I keep my driver's license in my car for driving purposes, but that's about it. So as we wrap up the presentation portion, before we open up for questions, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who made today possible, and who also put a lot of effort to make sure MDL is successful here for New Mexicans. And that is, of course, our PIO, Megan Gleason, Department of Tourism's Francine Hopper, both Director Sanchez and Director Stevens, and the entire RLD team. Mr. Goblet, thank you again. And I want to also give a shout out to our MVD project managers, Sean Bullion and Adam Diamond, who we rely on every day for their specialty. And finally, our Cabinet Secretary, Stephanie Sheridan-Clark, where none of this would be possible without her support. I just want to leave with one point. We're only sharing these tools and programs because they truly are secure, practical, and easy to use. We would never promote something that didn't meet our standards for safety, privacy, and real-world usability. We're really excited about the direction we're heading and confident that this technology will support businesses and customers in meaningful ways. So thank you all again, and we're looking forward to working with all of you. Megan, back to you.
So now we will answer some questions. Please feel free to raise your hand and I'll call on you. You can unmute and turn on your camera if you'd like to ask a question. I'll also be reading out some of these chat questions. Let's see, we've got Lay wants to jump in. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, I am in the cannabis industry, and one of the portions of our industry is making deliveries to customers who purchase from us. Are these readers mobile, and are we able to use these readers upon delivery of cannabis products?
Adam, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So these particular readers, so there's two different readers. You can download the free New Mexico Verifier app, which is an Apple only app, but it is free and can be downloaded. And of course, that's on your phone, so it's mobile. With the Credence reader, the connection that is going to the power outlet can actually be disconnected and is a USB cable. So you could buy a power bank and connect it directly to the power bank, and it could go anywhere for days. A power
Okay.
bank will power it for quite a long time.
Great. And one last question, but we also have a lot of out-of-state people coming into particularly our southern stores. So do these work for out-of-state licenses as well, who also have mobile IDs?
They do.
Okay.
And they
Thank
don't
you.
need an internet connection either.
Okay. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And we have Ange. I see your hand raised. So you should go ahead and be able to unmute whenever you're ready. Looks like there might be some audio issues. We'll come back to you, Ange. We also have Sharuz. Pardon me if I mispronounce or butcher any names. Let's go ahead. You should be able to unmute when you're ready.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my name is Charmine. Somehow I got on my daughter's teams. Don't ask me how. But I put in a couple of questions, or one large question in the Q&A part. One is, do we get a list of the states that have mobile ID so it can prevent fraud if we do not have the mobile ID reader? Because we've been getting a lot of people trying to go into the bar with different states, and we don't know if they're already mobile approved or not. I'm assuming this device terminal can only be used for the mobile devices, not for the physical ID, correct? And can this be used for dual businesses like a hotel bar?
Lots of good questions. I'm going to jump in on that first one there. I will be sharing a list of all of the states that currently have mobile IDs. That's included in our resources, so that you do have that. Adam, do you want to address those other questions?
Sure. So if you have a reading app, it's only going to work with an actual mobile ID that is complying with the ISO standard that's required. In other words, there's no way, there's no fake app that's going to work with it and read it. So that's part of the security that's built into it. So when you're using either the New Mexico Verifier app on an iPhone, or if you're using a Credence reader, or if you're using a reader from a different company, they're not going to be able to read it unless it actually is compliant and real. And that's really the difference. You're getting 100% security that that's not a fake license. Whereas obviously with a paper credential, they're pretty common and easily purchasable online, and pretty convincing. I think you had another question too. I think there might have been a third one if I'm missing it.
Yeah, so the list for all the mobile IDs that are approved around the country. So the terminal does not do the card, it only does the mobile app. Correct,
So
yeah.
Credence has actually been beta testing a reader that will also do the cards, but there's limitations. So basically they're doing their own validation through software. So it will give you a kind of a warning with like a red outline on the response so that you would check it, further. But it's not 100% like the actual mobile ID reading, right? Because what it's doing is it's using its own software and it's checking the 2D barcode that's on the back, and it's running an algorithm to make sure that's actually meeting what it should be doing as far as data. But it's still not 100% because I have versions of fake cards I've tested it with and it hasn't detected them. Because they actually did a really good job of putting the right data in the right fields. That is what's called AMVA compliant, which is the standard that's used for creating the data on driver's licenses and IDs. So I think it's a good idea because I think it will help you detect those fake cards, but I don't think it's foolproof because I've been able to use versions of fake licenses that have fooled it.
That's helpful.
And you can't do that with the digital version. You cannot fool it. It just won't. It'll give you an error message no matter what, or it just will say that it can't read it.
Is the actual device an open API so that it can integrate with any other programs?
Yes. So there is an interface API that Credence offers, and there are other companies that offer APIs. And companies like Toast, Square, and others are showing interest in that. So my hope is that your point of you voice this to your point of sale vendors, and they in turn, they're already involved and they've been at some of the meetings for MDLs throughout the country. But if we could get that to proceed a little bit more quickly, that would be great, because I think that's where the real value will be when it's integrated with your existing systems.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put in a list from the TSA, and it will show all the states that have mobile IDs, because of course our mobile ID is taken at I think over 250 airports now, and including the Sunport and the Lea County Airport in New Mexico. But these other credentials also are taken at the same airports.
All right. Ange, do you want to try one more time to unmute and ask your question? Your hand is still raised. I do see in the chat that you asked if you get an email that you attended this. I will send an email after this to all attendees. That includes a link of this webinar, a link of the YouTube video we showed, as well as the flyers that we showed as resources. All right, let's see. Johnny, you have a question? Let me go ahead and allow you to unmute, so whenever you're ready.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think a lot of my questions were just answered on that last conversation that Mr. Diamond had, and I thank you for all that. But I think my only other question that I had was, along with these mobile IDs, will the individuals still receive the physical ID for when they're presented in the in environments that don't have that mobile ID verification process?
I'm sorry, if we could clarify the question, you're wondering if businesses that don't have a verification will still accept physical licenses, or do they have to carry it in?
No, the resident of New Mexico that'll have this mobile ID, will they still receive a physical ID at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. The MDL is a choice. You don't have to get it. The physical ID we will absolutely still be issuing, because for driving purposes, the physical driver's license is still required.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, we've got a few other questions in chat. One question is, where do we get these devices to read IDs? and what are the costs? Do you want to tackle that, Adam?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna update our website to put more options there. We do have some of the options listed on our website. This is still kind of a small, it's really in its infancy, this sector, this space that's starting to be filled and gain interest quickly. So the Credence readers are 840 initially, but to give you an idea of the lack of, I would say there's a lack of competition right now. These same readers a few months ago were about $6.99. And so obviously they're increasing prices on this quickly. There is also a subscription fee annually. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'll look and find the website and post it in chat in a few minutes. I think it's like 200 plus per year. But the initial purchase for one device is $840. But I'm sure they can do custom APIs and so forth for various programs to interface with, and of course those costs would be depending upon the scope of the work and so forth. So they may be quite a bit different, and I'm sure they'd be a lot more money than that. And there are other companies that are starting to get involved, like Veridos, ID Scan, and several others. But there's not many companies that have been coming out with the smaller devices that are meant for smaller businesses. I think most of the focus has been on large use, like at airports and things of that nature.
And I'll just add on here, I did drop some contact information in the chat for how you can get started with this if you just want to try out the reader, which is a really big benefit of this Credence Reader Loaner program that we're announcing today. It is free through MBD. We'll give it to you for a couple of weeks or a month as we specify in the MOU, just so you can try it out and kind of see how you like it. So let's see, Grady, let me go ahead and allow you to unmute. Go ahead and ask your question whenever you're ready.
Hello. So we're just curious. We're in the cannabis part of everything. We have noticed that when you do the scan, it only tells you that they're 21. We actually need more information to let people in. Is it ever going to show us like their date of birth and their name, so that way it is easier?
I can take that question. So it can. There's basically two versions of this, what they call these readers is in the industry, we term them relying parties or reliant parties. These readers can be either data only or what they call view only or data transfer. And when they're view only, it's going to do the bare minimum. It's going to do the photo and the age, check for the age. There are versions that are available and they can be custom made by companies and so forth. And there are a few apps out there. Arizona actually built their own that does data transfer that could pass that type of information. So that is coming. It's just, it hasn't been used as much yet, and it's not as widely available yet. For example, I'm sure when TSA is pulling data from your mobile ID at the airports, it's probably pulling more than just your photo and your date of birth. I don't know exactly what it is pulling, but it should tell you a little bit actually when you go through and you look at your history when you look at your mobile ID. But it is coming and it is available. So they could custom design that type of interface for you.
We also have a few questions in the chat about what kind of phone this is accepted on. So you can download your mobile ID on Apple or Android, And either Apple or Android can also verify the ID. On Apple, you can use the app called New Mexico Verifier. On Android, there's a slew of other apps that are going to be included in our resources that I'll send out after this that you can also use. So it is available on both phones, and the Credence Reader can read Apple and Android IDs.
And the New Mexico Verifier app can read both Android and Apple IDs.
Any other questions? Let's see, Jamie, looks like you've raised your hand. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Let's see, can you hear me? Yes, hopefully.
Yes.
Hi. My name is Jamie. I'm with Canteen Brew House, and some of the stuff that I am concerned about this, love the idea of a mobile app. However, when you have 10 servers on the floor, I'm not going to ask them to download this to their phone. And if you're serving beer to a table, that's something that, you know, from regulation department, from everything else, our big thing is not to serve a minor. So I really struggle saying, okay, servers, I'm gonna need you to carry another device on you that's $800 until it's integrated with our POS, which then sure you have handhelds. But I just think that's putting a lot onto our servers to do that. And so I know for us, I'm still pretty hesitant now that there's a little more information. I agree with the individual who was talking about cannabis as well, showing a picture with a date of birth, anything like that. So it does seem a little more user friendly or just more valid. I think it's all been beat into us so much to don't serve a minor, make sure it's not expired, make sure they're over 21, that's a hard transition, I think, from our side in a brewery scene. So I just didn't know if there was any plans on that or any other ways, because, you know, for us on a busy night, I'll have 10 servers on and I'm not going to drop 10 different mobile ID readers to greet a table. So I just didn't know if anybody had a best practice for table service compared to counter service. So more of a comment than a question.
So
Can I
think
chime in here? Sorry,
Please,
this
go
is
ahead.
Eden from the CCD.
Sure.
Is it okay if I kind of give an idea here? I was just gonna say, you know, it's not required necessarily that you have to use this. You know, certainly you can come up with some policies where maybe, you know, you use this for individuals that appear over 40 or something like that. You know, you can have your own policies about, you know, requiring additional or supplemental identification if, you know, you don't feel comfortable just using this for your main source of like ID verification. But, you know, maybe to your point about, you know, efficiency and for a lot of employees, you know, if you had some kind of policy that anybody over 40, you know, maybe it's very quick for those people and you have, you know, you're not super worried about a risk there, but you still want to get that age verification in, you know, that's kind of a very quick way for you to do it versus, you know, your patrons that are younger, maybe you have, you know, a requirement for a physical identification of some sort versus the ID scanner. That's all.
And I will add to this, and maybe Adam or Director Went can speak more to this, but I totally hear you on being a little afraid of is it not going to ping me if somebody's under 21? But this is actually maybe a little more secure in terms of it will show you if it's a fake ID, it'll pop up red. If it's even a little unsure about the ID, it'll give you a prompt to double check what's going on there. Adam, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a good idea. And you know, to be perfectly honest, I think the industry is going to have to do some catch up on this, right? So you're right; they need to integrate this into your systems more easily, so it supports your use cases, right? So it's not so difficult when you have a large table of people you need to serve. So I mean, I know that they're showing interest in this. I know that there's going to be some more adoption, especially in the next year or so. There are companies like Amazon that are going to have it probably go live before the end of the year, leveraging mobile IDs. But I mean, as far as a face-to-face restaurant environment, I know Merchant One and Square and Clover and Toast and Harbor Touch and some of the others have devices already for the old style IDs, right? For checking the magnetic strips or the barcodes. It's only a matter of time till they start coming up with some solutions that address the mobile IDs better, or at all, because they can see where this is going as well. We have. I'm going to put some numbers in the chat in a moment for the states, and you'll see that some of the states have made some really, really great progress on the numbers of people that are carrying MDLs.
Thank you so much, Adam. And just to add to that, I think we absolutely hear the hesitancy and understand that having 10 different $800 devices to all of the servers is not practical. But as Adam says, we know this is still in its infancy, and it is going to continue to grow. And this program is just another way for us to try and encourage it in the process. And eventually, I think we're going to get to the point where everybody and quite a lot of consumers are going to be carrying an MDL. Right now, we're just at the very beginning, and we just want to get ahead of the game.
All right. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand, drop them in the Q&A portion, drop them in the chat.
I'm just going to chime in one last thing here in regards to the adoption of this. I think, I commiserate with Jamie and the idea of doing this at a table where you have 10 phones just thrown down on the table and everybody wants to do the verification. In my mind, at the beginning of this, at the forefront, there's going to be the random person who walks in and wants to have it done. So having one reader, one scanner back behind the bar in a situation where you do have a mobile ID and you want to accept it, I think it's going to be the exception rather than the rule at this point. And for our sake, we wanted to become more familiar with it, understand how they work, make sure our staff was comfortable with it. So I think, we'll go through the learning curve and some of the pains of, understanding how it works. And in the off chance that we'd have someone walk in today, we'd be able to accept it. And I just don't see it being a mad rush of people. But I do agree with Adam and with the folks who've talked about this being the future. It is coming. And therefore, I think we just wanted to be a little more proactive than reactive with our strategy. And hence, we're going to take some baby steps here as we move forward. But anyway, that's my chime in. And I just, encourage, everybody, like, New Mexico doesn't want to be the last to show up to the game. I applaud the fact that the agencies have stepped up and made sure that we're in the, there's 10 or 11 other states that are doing this. So, thank you all for pulling this together and letting us participate on the front end.
And, just to add on to that, we have a cute little window sticker that we're going to give out to businesses who do participate in this loaner program. Chris, I don't think you got one. I think we printed them after you signed your MOU, or do you have one? No. Okay, well, make sure you get one because they are pretty cute, and you can just stick them in your window and it says we accept mobile ID here. So that'll be another nice tactic to kind of help get the word out about that. Any other questions? Looking through the chat one more time. All right. Well, like I said, I will share this recording of this webinar, our YouTube channel resource page with the video that we shared here, along with the flyers that we shared on the screen, and probably some of these helpful statistics that Adam has dropped into the chat as well with everybody who attended afterward. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But we appreciate you so much for taking almost an hour out of your day to learn about this new program that we're launching, and we're all really excited about it here at MBD. All right. Bye, everybody.